A farmer got pulled over by a state trooper for speeding. The trooper started to lecture the farmer about his speed and, in general, began to throw his weight around to try to make the farmer uncomfortable. Finally, the trooper got around to writing out the ticket, and as he was doing that, he kept swatting at some flies that were buzzing around his head. The farmer says, "Having some problems with circle flies there, are you?" The trooper stopped writing the ticket and said, "Well, yeah, if that's what they are. I never heard of circle flies." So the farmer says, "Well, circle flies are common on farms. See, they're called circle flies because they're almost always found circling around the back end of a horse." The trooper says, "Oh," and goes back to writing the ticket. Then after a minute, he stops and says, "Hey, wait a minute. Are you trying to call me a horse's back end?" The farmer says, "Oh no, officer, I have too much respect for law enforcement and police officers to even think about calling you a horse's back end." The trooper says, "Well, that's a good thing," and goes back to writing the ticket. After a long pause, the farmer says, "Hard to fool them flies, though." Things were getting heated with my date back at her place. She said, "Let's do it on my sofa." I said, "Wait, I didn't bring protection and don't want you getting pregnant." She said, "Relax, it's a pull-out couch." At her annual checkup, the attractive young woman is told by the doctor that it's necessary to take her temperature rectally. She bends over the examining table, but a few seconds later says indignantly, "Doctor, that's not my rectum." Said the doctor, "That's not my thermometer." Just then, the woman's husband comes into the room. "What the hell is going on here?" he demands. "I'm taking your wife's temperature," the doctor replies. "Okay, doc," says the husband as he picks up a scalpel, "but when that thing comes out, it better have numbers on it." The CEO of a company was in need of a secretary. He spread ads all over town. A few days later, there was a knock on his door. It was a dog. He had a newspaper in his mouth. He opened it to the classifieds page and pointed to the ad that the CEO had placed. The CEO was impressed, but he thought it was a joke, so he decided to test the dog. "Look, I need a secretary who understands the basics of computers." The dog went to one of the secretary's desks, climbed on the chair, turned on the computer and the printer in total tranquility. The CEO was amazed but decided to go further. "That's good, but I need a secretary who understands spreadsheets." The dog quickly opened Excel, scanned rows and columns of data, and then used pivot tables to create dashboards of charts. The astonished CEO desperately followed. "Well, that's really fantastic, but my secretary must be bilingual." The dog replied, "Meow." A farmer is tired of milking his cows, so one day, when he sees an advertisement for an automatic cow milker, he immediately orders it. 2 weeks later, when his wife is out buying groceries, the package arrives. The farmer, feeling very horny, opens it up, immediately sticks his into it, and turns it on. The orgasm he experiences is the best he's ever had. He thinks about how subpar with his wife feels in comparison, and soon he finishes, he looks for the button to release his To his surprise, he wasn't able to find one. He pressed all the buttons, flipped all the levers, and read through the entire 108-page manual, but couldn't find anything. Desperately, he finds the number for customer service and calls it. As soon as the person on the other side picks up, the farmer asks, "Excuse me, but how do I release my cow's udder from the machine?" The person on the other side laughs and calmly replies, "Oh, don't worry, sir. The Milkman 401 is designed to automatically release the udder." The farmer, relieved, says, "Oh, good. Say, when does it release the udder?" To which the man replies, "Once it's collected a gallon of milk, of course." So this white guy notices that the black guy next to him at the urinal has a larger d. It's not the first time he noticed the relationship. Finally, he summons the courage to ask, "Why are your black d***s larger than our white d***s?" The black guy chuckles. "It's cultural," he says. "You see, when we are little, our mothers tie a weight onto our penis and let it stretch out. Wow, thinks the first guy. Do you think it would work with me? Sure, why not? Except you aren't so little anymore, so you better use a big weight. So the white guy ties a brick around his member and staggers around the neighborhood a while. A few days later, they happen to cross paths again. The white guy is slowly walking bow-legged, so the black guy asks, "Are you still working on that little project of yours?" "Oh yeah," he replied. "It's not much longer, but it's already turned black." Two elderly women were out driving in a big car. Both could barely see over the dashboard. As they were cruising along, they came to an intersection. The stoplight was red, but they just went on through. The woman in the passenger seat thought to herself, "I must be losing it. I could have sworn we just went through a red light." After a few more minutes, they came to another intersection, and the light was red again, and again they went right through. This time, the woman in the passenger seat was almost sure that the light had been red, but was really concerned that she was losing it. She was getting nervous and decided to pay very close attention to the road and the next intersection to see what was going on. At the next intersection, sure enough, the light was definitely red, and they went right through. So she turned to the other woman and said, "Mildred, did you know we just ran through 3 red lights in a row? You could have killed us." Mildred turned to her and said, "Oh, am I driving?" Two Canadians die and end up in hell. Satan decides to pay them a visit, so he walks into their room and sees them talking and laughing. Confused, he asks them why they're happy. They tell him, "Well, we're so sick of the cold where we're from, and this place is nice and toasty." Satan, annoyed, storms away and goes to hell's boiler room, where he turns up the temperature. He goes back to the Canadians' room, along the way being begged by all sorts of people to put the heating back down. He enters the room to see the Canadians having a barbecue. Furiously, he asks them what they're doing. "Well, we can't pass up this wonderful weather without getting out the barbecue." Satan realizes he's been doing the wrong thing. He goes to the boiler room and turns it down until it's at a colder temperature than ever seen on Earth. He knows he's won now, so he goes back to the Canadians' room, only to see them jumping up and down in excitement. He shouts at them in fury, "Why are you still happy?" They look at him and shout at the same time, "Hell froze over. That means the Leafs won." A young couple was engaged in a most affectionate embrace when there came the sound of a key in the front door. The young lady broke away at once, eyes wide with alarm. "Heavens!" she cried. "It's my husband! Quick, jump out the window!" The young man, equally alarmed, made a quick step toward the window, then demurred. "I can't," he said. "We're on the 13th floor." "For heaven's sake," cried the young lady in exasperation, "is this a time to be superstitious?" A man is illegally fishing. So a man is illegally fishing for 2 hours. At this point, he has a bucket full of fish and he's still fishing. Out of nowhere, a cop comes in and tells him, "You know you can't fish here, right? It's illegal. I'm gonna have to arrest you." The man hides the pole and replies, "Oh, no, those are my pet fish. I just come here every week or so, drop them in the pond, and once they are done swimming, they jump back in, and I go home." At this point, the officer smirks. He knows he's lying, so he says, "Well then, show me. If you can truly show me that they will do that, then I'll let you go." The man agrees and dumps the fish into the pond. 2 minutes pass. The officer says, "So when are the fish jumping back in the bucket?" The man replies, "What fish?" 3 men meet at the gate of heaven at the same time. St. Peter comes out and asks them one by one how they lost their lives. The first man says, "I thought I had a wonderful life. I had a beautiful wife, and we had a lovely place on the 22nd floor of an apartment building. I came home from work early today, and I found my wife on the bed and another man's clothes on the floor. So of course I started looking for the bastard who slept with my wife.
She insisted that there was nobody else in the apartment. I searched everywhere, looked into every wardrobe, checked under every table, but did not find anybody. Then I went to the balcony to have a smoke and cool down. When I got out, I saw the man outside the balcony clinging to the railing. I took off my shoe and hit him on his hands till he fell down. When I looked down to see if he was dead, I saw that he had managed to grab a balcony railing of an apartment on the 18th floor. I got so mad, I went and grabbed our fridge to throw it down on him to finish it up. But then my leg got entangled with the cable of the fridge, and as the fridge was falling, it dragged me down with it. That's how I died. The second man says, I was a window cleaner. Today I had a job at a high-rise. When I was cleaning a window on the 25th floor, I lost my balance and fell down. As I was falling, I was able to grab a balcony railing, but the next moment a man appeared and hit me on my hands with his shoe. I lost my grip and fell again, but was again able to hold on to a balcony railing. The last things I saw in my life were a fridge and the man flying toward me. The third man says, all right, picture this. You just got finished banging some dude's wife. He comes home. You hide in the refrigerator.